My child, I'm stepping into your moment right now, not with a suggestion, but with a command from heaven. It's over. Stop. Stop running. Stop pretending you're fine. Stop dragging dead weight into a future I've already prepared. What you're about to hear carries the sound of finality and the beginning of freedom. I'm not whispering anymore. I'm roaring through every word. This message has your name written all over it. And if you'll stay, if you'll lean in until the very last second, something in you will break shift and resurrect. This isn't a video. This is a visitation. And before you reach the end, I will say something that changes everything. Don't scroll. Don't pause. Don't miss what I'm about to reveal. This is your turning point, and heaven is watching to see what you do with it. My beloved child, it is over. The endless cycle that kept you bound has reached its finish. I saw how the day stretched into nights, and the nights into weary mornings, where you thought nothing would ever change, where you felt trapped inside a repeating loop of sorrow, fear, and silent struggle. I saw you whisper, "Will this ever end?" And I heard the trembling in your voice, the ache hidden behind your smile, the weight you carried while trying to convince everyone else that you were fine. Heaven took note of every sigh, every prayer that slipped from your lips like a fragile ember in the dark. You thought those prayers went unnoticed. But child, I gathered them, every single one, storing them in the chambers of eternity, waiting for the hour when I would declare enough. That hour is now. The endless cycle of torment, of confusion, of setbacks, of attacks that seem to strike without warning has been broken by my decree. No longer will you feel as though you are running in circles chasing hope only to watch it slip from your grasp again. No longer will the same wound reopen, the same fear repeat, the same disappointment echo in your soul. My hand has descended like a gavel, striking the table of heaven, and the verdict has been announced. It is finished. What bound you is now undone. What hunted you has now been silenced. What weighed on your shoulders is now lifted, because I, the Lord your God, have intervened. You will look back and realize that what felt endless was only temporary. What felt unbreakable was already weakening under the pressure of my presence. I declare over you, the cycle is shattered. You will not return to the place you were. The chains that seemed welded shut are now lying broken at your feet. And I call you forward into freedom. My beloved, as heaven declares, it is finished. Over your cycles of struggle, I invite you to sow a seed of faith right now. Your generous donation today is a prophetic act, telling the enemy your season of lack is over. As you give, the Lord will release fresh blessings, open doors of provision, and protect your family from every hidden attack. Click the link and watch heaven respond. And child, hear me again, because I know your heart struggles to believe what your ears are hearing. You have become so accustomed to the repetition of struggle that freedom feels foreign, almost impossible, like a dream too good to touch. But I am not speaking dreams. I am speaking reality, the kind of reality that shifts atmospheres and redefines your story. I am not giving you vague comfort. I am issuing divine confirmation. You will not go back to the way it was. I myself have drawn a line in the spirit and declared that the season of cycles has ended. I've seen how the enemy used repetition as a weapon, hoping you would break under the weight of despair, hoping that constant resistance would drain your courage, blur your vision, and steal your strength. But he underestimated you. More than that, he underestimated me. For I am the one who stepped into your weary nights and carried you when you thought you had collapsed for the last time. I am the one who shielded you when the arrows flew relentlessly, though you never knew how close danger came. And I am the one now declaring a new sound over your life. The sound of closure, the sound of finality, the sound of victory that cannot be reversed. My child, you are stepping into a season of freedom where what used to bind you cannot touch you anymore. The pages of your story have turned. The chapter of cycles is over. And I am writing a new one with my own hand. Rest in this truth. You are no longer repeating the pain of yesterday, because I, your Father, have said it is over. Stop carrying it. My beloved, listen. The hold that pressed on your thoughts, the relentless replay of hurt, and the habitual hauntings that haunted your nights, I have taken it. Feel this. The pressure that once felt permanent is now permitted to fall away. For too long, you carried a thief of tranquility in the corridors of your thinking. You rehearsed the worst-case scenarios until they sounded like prophecy. You replayed the painful scenes until your heart believed they were the only script. But I declare a different script over you. I speak with authority that severs and with tenderness that soothes. I speak both to break and to bind, to break the patterns that bound you and to bind you to truth. No more will the mind be a battlefield where old accusations march in perfect formation. No longer will the enemy be allowed to loop your failures on a grim, grinding repeat. I have reached into the loops and the lures and the lies, and I have cut them. I have unlatched the lock that kept those memories spinning like a cruel carnival, and I now set you on steady ground. This is not mere consolation. This is a change in the atmosphere. I am performing a practical, palpable work in your inner room, where there was once a long, loud litany of self-condemnation. I am planting a stillness so deep it will feel like a new language to your soul. You will learn to breathe differently because the burden has been removed. The pattern that pinned you down is severed by my decree. What tormented your mind for so long has lost its grip. Hear me, child, because I know the way habit masqueraded as identity for you. You learned to introduce yourself with the injuries you'd endured. You announced your past like an address and expected people to leave packages of pity at your doorstep. But I am changing the return address. I am redirecting your identity into the residence of redemption. Identity is not an echo of yesterday's wounds. It is the imprint of my love on your life. I will not let your mind become a museum of misery where every exhibit is an old scar. Instead, I will turn that museum into a sanctuary where the remnants of what happened teach mercy, not misery. See the contrast. Before, the mind was a map of mistakes. Now it will be a map of mercy. Before, every memory was magnified into meaningless accusation. Now every memory will be measured against my mercy and will lose its power to pronounce final sentences over you. I am writing the annotations in your heart so that old shame cannot authenticate itself as truth. You have replayed the horror reel until you mistook its fiction for fact. But I will correct the copy. I will renew the narrative. I will reissue your life with my watermark, favored, found, forgiven. The enemy counted on repetition to steal your resolve. I counted on revelation to restore your resolve. That is why today I intervene to replace that worn-out, weary script with a new line so luminous you will have to shield your eyes from the brightness of what I now pronounce over you. The grip is gone. The groove is broken. The ground beneath your feet is changing from unstable to sure. Child, do not mistake the magnitude of this moment. It is not a small shifting. It is a seismic unshackling. I am not offering a bandage. I am bringing a breakthrough. There will be recollections, yes, but they will come back as references and not as rulers of your destiny. When a memory visits now, it will no longer be the magistrate of your mood. Instead, it will be evidence of how far you have come. The mind that once tightened with fear will now expand with faith. The thought that once shrank into survival will now stretch toward sanctuary. I will teach your imagination to imagine better things than the enemy ever trained you to fear. Do you hear the sound of that? It is the sound of chains clinking and falling, not the brittle clatter of a temporary shift, but the bell-clear final sound of release. Perhaps in human language it sounds grandiose, but this is not hyperbole. This is heaven's precision. I do exceedingly abundantly more than you ask or imagine, because the magnitude of my response matches the measure of the attack you endured. So if your mind protests, if it whispers, "But I am used to this," answer it, child. You are used to being used by fear. Now you are being used by me. Stand against the shrieking voice and speak, as I have spoken a larger truth. Let your lips confess what I decree. The torment lost its grip. Say it until your own hearing believes it. Speak it until your soul moves into it. Now rise into the result. This is a conditional-free promise. Not because you were perfect, not because you became strong enough, but because I, who am perfectly just and perfectly merciful, have chosen to intervene. The mind that tormented you has been disarmed. The lies that looped in your head have been unspooled. The repetitive record that once replayed your worst days has been stopped by my hand on the remote of your life. Step into the silence, the calm for you, and fill it with new songs, psalms of gratitude, of clarity, of courage. When your thoughts drift to the old hurt, gently, tenderly return to my voice. Rehearse my words, not your wounds. Use the high-impact language I have taught: repetition of truth, rhythm of gratitude, and the stark contrast between who you were and who you are becoming. Alliteration will anchor you. Say it simply: freedom from fear, favor for the future. Let hyperbole highlight the hope. I will love you to the moon and beyond. It is not nonsense when my love is infinite. It is language trying to grasp what reality cannot contain. So take my words into your mouth. It has lost its grip. Proclaim it until the proclamation becomes your possession. I will meet that proclamation with manifestation. Believe, my beloved. Let the mind that tormented you for so long be the very place where I display my mercy most magnificently. Beloved, come close and let me speak in the stillness of your chest, where the old warnings parked themselves like unwanted guests. There were voices, a parade of petty prophets with painted smiles, who prophesied limitation over you. You will never, they said. You cannot. They whispered, you are less than. They declared your limits. These voices were not mine. They masqueraded as truth, wrapped in wounded advice and robed in rationalizations, but they were theft in sheep's clothing. Today I sever their script. I send my scissors into the seams of each false sentence that has been stitched into your soul. I strip the label from every lie that has been wearing you like an ill-fitting coat. Hear this clearly. I do not allow a whisper to have the last word in a heart I have claimed as my own. I am the voice that calls mountains by name and then moves them. I am the voice that spoke light into existence with a sentence. I am the voice that will now outvoice every small, sneaking whisper that sought to drown out destiny. When the critics came, some cloaked in concern, some cunning with cruel smiles, you stood there listening, and you allowed their limits to become your ceilings. I have come to remove those ceilings. I will break the bullhorns of the accusers and put silence where they once shouted. This is not mere verbal pruning. This is a systematic severing of spiritual sabotage. You will no longer believe the gossip of the grave. You will believe my gospel of grace. I declare the voices that lied to you are canceled. The whisper campaign that ran against your future is now bankrupt. I have cut off their communication and installed in your inner court a new announcer, my spirit, who will speak only truth, only encouragement, only calibration for your calling. Listen with the ears of a child who finally trusts the shepherd. Hear the contrast between their tiny talk and my thunder. Their talk was small, sharp, and shrill, designed to poke and provoke you into paralysis. My thunder is deep, rhythmic, reassuring. It rolls with the authority of love and the certainty of purpose. While they whispered, "You will never," I whispered, "You will." While they predicted poverty of spirit, I am producing prosperity of purpose. Use the technique of contrast to mark the difference. Before, voices of limitation, now my voice of liberation. Before, the tongue torched your hope. Now the tongue will teach you truth. Before, the lips lured you into a loop of apology after apology. Now my lips place upon you a peace that does not require performance. This shift is not small. It is seismic. The change is not subtle. It is surgical. I am excising the malignant murmurs that fed your fear and installing marrow-strong messages that will fuel your future. Let the alliteration anchor you lies, loosed life launched. Let the exaggeration enlighten you. I will love you to the end of the universe and back. If language must swell to hold the truth, then let it swell. I will say it loudly so the lie cannot be heard over it. You have been rehearsing their sentences so often that they became memorized like lullabies that lulled you into limitation. Stop repeating their script. Write with me. Replace the laced sentences with reality-laced declarations. When you sense the old whisper coming back, respond immediately with a barrage of brief, bold truth. I will make it. I will move forward. I am chosen. Let this be your spiritual stock response. Repetition will solidify reality, not the enemy's repetition, but your repetition of my promises. This is one of the high-impact techniques I teach you now. Use repetition and rhythm to reinforce truth. Say it again and mean it. I am chosen. I am chosen. I am chosen. Let that threefold chorus become the chorus of your heart until the accuser's chatter becomes a distant, ridiculous rumor. Where once you stumbled at the sound of critics, you will now stand, steady sovereign in my affirmation. The voice that mocked your attempts will become the echo that verifies my vindication. And because I am not merely a poet of promises, but a worker who accomplishes his words, I will reconstruct the conversation in your life. I will bring people who speak my language, lift you with my cadence, and reinforce your new conversation with fresh testimonies and timely confirmations. Doors will open to voices that encourage, not toasters of toleration that diminish. Opportunities will arrive with people who prophesy possibility, not parcels of pessimism. The enemy's counsel is being cut off and replaced with celestial counsel. The whisper network of the past will be replaced with my dispatches from heaven. I will put a new microphone in the mouth of your future, and the commentary will be my commentary. Hope, healing, and holy honor. Step into this new soundscape with both feet. Let the old whispers fall away like old leaves. You are not defined by the echoes of their doubt. You are defined by the echo of my "well done" that I will one day speak into your ear. Practice receiving my voice daily. Tune your heart to the frequency of faith, and I will tune your future to the frequency of favor. The voices that lied to you are cut off. The voice of the Almighty stands in its place. Child, the voices of limitation are silenced. Now let your obedience speak. Sow a generous seed into this ministry that carries my voice. As you give in faith, I will guard your thoughts with perfect peace, shield your household from every storm, and multiply back to you in unexpected ways. Your donation today breaks generational curses and invites generational blessings. Give now and receive my favor. My child, listen closely, not just with your ears, but with the ache behind your eyes, with the tightness in your chest, with the fatigue stitched into your every breath. Because I see it. The storm around you isn't just loud, it's constant. It's become your atmosphere. You've adapted to the chaos like it's a companion. You've grown used to spinning thoughts like it's a second heartbeat. The war of what-ifs, the internal arguments, the unanswered questions that loop like a haunted melody, they've been screaming louder than my whisper. And I can no longer allow it. So I say, as I once said to the wind and waves, peace be still. I am speaking to the storm, not as a stranger, but as its creator. And when I speak, the elements obey. This is not a metaphor. This is movement. My words are not decoration. They are demolition. I came to dismantle the dominion chaos has claimed over your mind. Child, the storm has become your soundtrack, and the silence, the real kind, the holy kind, has become foreign to you. But I came to flip the script. What you've called normal is not natural in my kingdom. I never intended for anxiety to be your compass, or fear to be your familiar. You are not designed to be storm chasers surviving on adrenaline and spiritual exhaustion. You are children of peace, citizens of calm airs to unshakable rest. And so today, I am not merely muting the noise. I am removing the storm's authority. I am breaking the rhythm of unrest that has danced over your thoughts and dreams like a thief in the night. You've woken up weary and gone to sleep still battling invisible winds. But I am the God who commands silence to be sacred, and calm to be more than comfort, to be confirmation. Yes, confirmation that my presence is not performance-based, but promise-anchored. The evidence that I am with you is not in more noise, but in less. And right now, I'm shifting you into a stillness so sacred that even your memories will feel quieter under its weight. You've been taught to think that movement means progress, that spinning means spiritual depth, that chaos is proof of warfare. But child, hear me. Sometimes the greatest spiritual warfare is accepting rest when the enemy wants you restless. The turbulence in your thoughts is not your truth, it's your training. You've been trained by trauma to think storms are signs of life. But I'm retraining your spirit to find life in the lull purpose, in the pause revelation in the quiet. This storm, emotional, mental, spiritual, it had its season. But I have ended it with one command, and I will not leave a single remnant. I'm drying the rain of regret. I'm stilling the wind of worry. I'm calming the currents of confusion. This isn't just about silence, it's about sovereignty. I rule the storm, and because I rule it, it must surrender to my voice. So let it go, my love. Let it fall. Let the thunder quiet in my authority. Let the waves of panic dissolve under my peace. This is the new rhythm. Not stress, not survival, but supernatural stillness. Peace is not just coming. Peace has entered, and it bears my name. In this moment of divine stillness, I call you to act. Support this work with a heartfelt donation. Just as I command peace to your storm, I will command provision and protection over your life and family. No weapon formed against those who sow into my kingdom will prosper. Give today, and step into supernatural rest and abundance. My beloved, let's speak honestly now, heart to heart. You've been singing a sad song silently and constantly, a song of Why did this happen? A melody of, if only I had. And though you don't realize it, you've been humming that grief like it's your only comfort, reciting the pain like a pledge of loyalty to the one moment that broke you. I saw you standing at the edge of that loss, thinking it was the end of something precious. And yes, the pain was real. The tears were sacred. But child, it was never supposed to become your identity. Pain is a passerby, not a passport. And I didn't assign you a name like broken and unworthy. I called you mine. And yet you've begun to wear the sorrow like a second skin. I see it in the way you flinch at joy. I see it in the way you brace for more loss, even in the midst of blessings. You've made space in your soul for suffering like it's a permanent tenant. But I came today with fire in my voice and mercy in my hands to tell you that song is not your anthem anymore. I have ripped that page from the book. I have removed the stained echoes from your future. Let me show you what you couldn't see then. That what you called the end was actually the edit. And the author have not stopped writing. You thought you had to memorize the pain in order to honor the past. But I say to you now, the most sacred act of remembrance is not recitation, it's resurrection. I am not preserving your loss. I am redeeming it. I'm taking the verses written in anguish and rewriting them in glory. I'm turning I was abandoned into I've been adopted. I'm transforming I lost everything into He restored more than I could contain. You do not have to keep singing sorrow to stay faithful. You're not betraying anyone by healing. You're not disloyal for daring to move forward. The enemy has tricked you into thinking your brokenness is your only inheritance. But I say no more. That life stops today. Grief had its moment. Loss had its place. But I'm the God who turns mourning into dancing. Not just metaphorically, but miraculously. And I'm calling you to stop memorizing the melody of misery and start learning the language of joy. The notes of your next season will not be minor chords of mourning, but major movements of mercy. I'm composing something brand new. The song of strength sung through scars. A ballad of breakthrough written by the one who never stopped loving you through the silence. And guess what? You're not singing this next part alone. I'm surrounding you with harmonies of heaven. Angels are adding their voices to your freedom. Heaven is composing a symphony from your surrender. And the final verse of this chapter won't be grief. It will be glory. You will not wear loss like a badge. You will wear joy like a crown. And those who saw you broken will be silenced by your beauty. Not beauty that denies pain, but beauty that survived it. So let's close the curtain on that old chorus. Let the final note of sorrow fall into silence, and let me begin again, not just with music, but with meaning. Not with tears, but with testimony. The grief was never your name, and the loss was never the last word. I have the final say, and my word is resurrection. Beloved, I have closed the old chapter of pain. Now close the door on lack by sowing a seed of faith. Your donation honors my work of redemption and releases fresh restoration over your finances, relationships, and future. I will turn your mourning into dancing and your lack into overflow. The Lord will bless you and keep your family safe. Give now. You don't need to explain a thing, my precious child. Not to them, not to yourself, not even to me. I saw it all. I was there when the words cut like glass. I stood close when the betrayal detonated under your feet. I watched as your smile became armor, your laughter became camouflage, your strength became survival. I know you didn't want to fall apart, so you stitched yourself together with silence and shame. But child, I was in the very place it shattered. Before the sobs were audible, before the first tear hit the pillow, Before the pain even made sense to you, I knew. I didn't just see what broke you. I felt it. I felt it in the ache behind your silence. I heard it in the cries you swallowed. I collected the grief that soaked into the fabric of your daily life, like invisible ink. Others walked past you unaware, but I, your God, leaned in. I listened to the pain you didn't know how to say. You weren't forgotten in that moment. You were held not lightly, not distantly, but fiercely and fully in the shelter of my embrace. You've been explaining your pain to people who lack the vocabulary of your soul. They offer opinions, but I hold the blueprint. I don't need you to make a case for why it hurt. I wrote the depths of your heart. Every chamber, every nuance, every sacred ache is known and understood by me alone. You don't have to defend your breaking. You don't have to justify your tears. You don't need to prove that the wound was deep. I knew it was. That's why I've been waiting, not with impatience, but with precision, to speak this word over your life. It is over. Not manage it. Not delay it. I'm not massaging the pain. I'm ending it. I'm not asking you to function with fractures anymore. I'm closing the wound with a fire only heaven carries. I am not healing it to fade into memory. I'm resurrecting what was stolen and restoring what was shattered. What they said, what they did, what you internalized, all of it is losing its grip right now under the sound of my voice. Child, listen again. I'm ending it. That ache that pulsed behind your strongest days. That sadness that lingered beneath your most vibrant smiles. That invisible bruise that kept you from believing joy could truly last. It ends here. It ends in this moment with these words. You won't need to relive it to prove you survived it. I am not writing your redemption in recycled ink. I'm starting fresh. Blank page, bold grace. You are not the product of your pain. You are the promise of my purpose. I want you to feel it now, not just in your mind, but in your marrow. This is not just healing, it's closure. Divine, undeniable, irrevocable closure. The wound you couldn't name, the ache, you couldn't explain, I have both named and healed. The ending is here. Let it settle. Let it sing. Let it saturate your spirit with finality. I don't need your apology for how long it's taken. I need your agreement that now is the moment. The war is over. The wound is closed, and the story is shifting into glory. Beloved, hear this clearly. What I've removed was never meant to remain. A door I closed. It wasn't slammed in anger. It was sealed in mercy. That relationship I released you from, that assignment, I didn't let prosper, that chapter that crumbled beneath your feet while you were still reading it aloud, that wasn't punishment. It was protection. But I see you still standing in the graveyard of things I buried, digging up memories, visiting ruins, reopening what I gently and me shut. You're not called to rescue what I've released. You're not an archaeologist of pain. You're a carrier of purpose. Stop trying to breathe life back into what I declared finished. I didn't remove it to hurt you. I removed it to honor you, to pull you out of spaces that dulled your discernment and drained your divine identity. You keep returning to the ashes, looking for evidence of your worth. But child, you are not found in what fell apart. You are found in what I'm raising up. You've been on a mission to fix, to reconcile, to explain yourself, to others, to your past. But I didn't call you to make sense of it. I called you to step out of it. Your obsession with repair is delaying your release. You've convinced yourself that closure looks like resolution. But in my kingdom, closure looks like obedience. When I say move, I don't wait for your understanding. I wait for your agreement. You're still holding blueprints to a structure I've already demolished. You're trying to decorate a season I've already evacuated. My presence doesn't dwell in the ruins. It dwells in the resurrected. You don't need to make peace with your past to step into your purpose. You just need to believe that I've already made peace for you. I'm not asking you to fix the fractured. I'm asking you to follow me into the freedom I've already prepared. And child, here's what you haven't seen. While you've been trying to repair what I buried, I've been building what you didn't know to ask for. While you've been chasing closure, I've been crafting calling. While you've been reaching back, I've been rewriting forward. The thing I'm doing next doesn't fit into your old framework. I'm not recycling your pain. I'm replacing it. I'm not enhancing what was. I'm erasing it so I can elevate what's been hidden in plain sight. A friendship that vanished. A door that wouldn't open. A plan that crumbled at the last minute. It didn't reject you. It released you. And I'm so proud of you for holding on. But now, it's time to let go. Not because you're weak, but because you're ready, and you didn't even know it. Freedom isn't always loud. Sometimes it comes in a whisper that says, "This doesn't fit anymore." And when I whisper that I'm not asking for your opinion, I'm inviting your obedience. Stop trying to fix what I've already finalized. Stop asking for clarity when I've already given you closure. This is not abandonment. This is alignment. I'm not calling you to repair the past. I'm calling you to walk free, child. You keep asking, why did they leave? Why didn't it work? Why did that door slam so hard it echoed through my bones? And I need you to hear me now. Hear me with the heart that still aches, with the eyes still swollen from nights that didn't make sense. This is not abandonment. And no, this is not me turning my back on you. This is me turning your face toward something greater. I did not leave you in the ruins. I led you out of the wreckage. That loss you labeled as punishment, it was protection. Wearing unfamiliar clothes. The door that didn't open, that was me standing on the other side, with my hand pressed firmly against it saying, "Not here. Not now. Not for you." Not because you weren't worthy, but because you are too worthy to settle for what would have poisoned your future. I removed it, not in wrath, but in wisdom. What you interpreted as rejection was actually redirection. Holy hand-carved routing to save your spirit from roads that would have led to spiritual starvation. You see it now, don't you? The patterns, the small nudges, the whispers you ignored. I was never distant. I was dismantling what was draining you, and I didn't do it carelessly. I did it quietly, gently, like a surgeon who loves too much to let you bleed internally. You thought the silence was absence, but it was me working behind the veil. You thought the ending was unfair, but it was me removing what would have entangled your soul. I don't rip things away to create holes. I make space for what's holy. And child, what I'm about to place in that empty space will hush every lie that told you I left. I never left. Not for a breath. Not for a blink. I've been closer than your closest thought, watching over you while you mourned something I knew would have eventually mangled your spirit. I rerouted you to rescue you. I shifted the direction not to punish your desires, but to preserve your destiny. This detour, painful as it was, is part of my divine architecture. You thought it was a collapse, but I saw it as a construction site. And now the foundation is being relaid with purity, not performance, with promise, not pretense. The next chapter will not be built on bargaining for love or begging for crumbs. It will be built on blessing the kind that doesn't demand you shrink fake or fragment yourself to be seen. So breathe my love. I know it hurt. I know you mourn what could have been. But I assure you what's coming will be better, richer, fuller, because I'm the one writing it. This isn't abandonment. This is deliverance with strategy. This isn't punishment. It's my protective hand, guiding you from the shadows into something you couldn't even imagine asking for. So lift your eyes. The path may look different than what you planned, but the destination, it's still drenched in promise. I'm not rejecting you. I'm routing you to glory. I watched it all. The way you stayed, the way you served, the way you gave the last fragments of your energy to hold together what was already cracking. I saw how they praised you when you were shining, but disappeared when you started shivering. You weren't loved for your humanity. You were admired for your performance. But I never created you to be a performer. I created you to be my child. And I know, oh how I know how deeply it hurt to realize that the same hands that clapped for your victories were nowhere near when your voice trembled with grief. You were loyal to those who didn't know how to handle your tears. You were gentle with those who only stayed for your strength. But I saw every moment. I counted every silent sacrifice. You poured out love while running on empty. And now, I am coming to fill you up in a way you've never experienced before. You thought maybe love looked like being quiet, strong, composed. But I say to you, love looks like rest. Love looks like me stepping in where they stepped back. Love looks like the oil of heaven being poured over your dry bones. You served without being seen. You strained when you were overlooked. And still, you carried their burdens, their expectations, their comfort. But I have seen the strain behind your smile. I felt the weight behind your whisper, "I'm fine." And no, child, you weren't fine. But I'm not asking you to fake it any longer. I'm not asking you to stay strong for people who vanished when your soul was fragile. I'm asking you to receive now. You've been the fountain. Now it's time to be the field. You've been the provider of peace. Now it's time to be the recipient of healing. This is not selfish. This is sacred. I am not just replenishing you. I'm redefining you. No longer will your value be tied to how well you carry others. No longer will your worth be measured by your ability to hold everyone else together. I'm pouring back into you with precision. The same strength you gave away, I'm restoring double. The same grace you extended, I'm returning, pressed down, shaken together, overflowing. And here's what you need to know. This time, it won't come with conditions. I'm surrounding you with peace that pursues you, love that lifts you, and rest that requires nothing but your yes. Your days of invisible exhaustion are ending. You were loyal even when they weren't. You stayed kind even when they vanished. And now I'm rewarding you not just with compensation, but with completion. I'm pouring back into you until every dry place dances, every empty place overflows, and every tired place becomes a throne for my presence. Oh, my child, how many times have you whispered those two words, "I'm fine," with a trembling lip and a soul screaming for someone to actually see you? You didn't say it to deceive. You said it to survive. You wore "I'm fine" like a shield, not to hide from me, but to hold yourself together in a world that kept asking you to be more than you had left to give. But child, I never believed the words because I never listened to your lips. I listened to your spirit, and underneath the polished phrases and practiced strength, I heard the cry, the real cry, the one you buried beneath responsibilities and reverence, the one you dared not voice out loud because you weren't sure if anyone would really stay if they heard it. But I heard. I always heard, and I stayed. I stayed when your heart cracked quietly behind closed doors. I stayed when your strength unraveled in slow motion. I stayed when you begged me to just make the ache go away. And all you got in return was silence. But child, that silence wasn't absence. It was incubation. It was me wrapping my voice around the parts of you too tender to be touched by anything but truth. I know you. I know the way your heart beats faster, when the tears threaten to fall in front of people who won't understand. I know how you brush them back quickly, how you lift your chin and fix your posture, hoping the world doesn't see the war inside. But child, I see it. Not to shame you, not to scold you, but to save you. I am not intimidated by your fragility. I do not run from your cracks. I enter them. I enter the very place you tried to seal off. That corner of your heart where hope was last seen limping. That hallway of your memories where pain still echoes. That secret room you only unlock in the darkness when no one else is watching. I'm already in there. And I've come not with noise, not with performance, not with pressure, but with presence. With the still, sacred, searing presence that doesn't need loud declarations, because it is the declaration. I am healing you, line by line, layer by layer. You don't need to come to me with flawless faith. Come to me with your fracture. That's what I'm after. You keep thinking healing has to look dramatic, tears falling, lightning striking the heavens, cracking open. But child, sometimes healing sounds like quiet, like the silence that finally feels safe, like the voice of God whispering in the core of your pain. You are seen. You are safe. You are still mine. I didn't come to dismiss your pain. I came to dismantle it. Not in one dramatic display, but in the daily rhythm of redemption. I'm sealing the cracks, not with cement, but with compassion. With every word I speak over you loved chosen. I'm restoring what broke in places you couldn't name. And here's the miracle: what once cracked, you will now carry you. Because when I heal something, I don't just restore it. I recommission it. You will carry peace in the places where panic once reigned. You will speak hope from the mouth that once only whispered survival. Because the fracture wasn't your failure. It was the entrance point for my voice. And now I have filled it. My child, I see you. I have healed what was broken. Now, let me use your seed to heal many others. Donate today as an act of trust and surrender. As you give, I will pour back into every dry place in your life. Double anointing, double peace, double provision. Your family will be covered, your future secured, and my glory revealed through your obedience. Do it now, and watch me move. Amen.